Hey! Hi! It's skycat.live! Hi guys, I just got done singing for a couple of hours and finished early dinner. And I don't know what I'm going to be doing today, but there's 5:15. It is 5:15 on a 7/10/2024. That's a Wednesday, 5:13 p.m. And I'm excited to bring you Once Human and FFXI and EvE Online, and I've got all the clients running back the way they should be, and I've even got my settings and everything. I've even got my macros and everything, which is awesome. So here we go. Config to miscellaneous, and I think one of the things that messed up. No, it's the correct aspect ratio. It is cool. Oh, Cradle ID. Yeah. Cradle. Okay, so let's hear with the bike. Nice. Okay, so cool, and hey, look how good this game's running. Wow, wow. Why is my frame rate suddenly way better with all these clients open and everything? Well, the reformat was good to me. It appears. Let's bump the settings a little bit. Then it appears that I don't need to drop the render scale so much, so we'll keep that. Would be good to keep. And then if I'm gonna bump something, it would be the shader apply. Yep, there we go. Oh, look at the shadows through the window and everything. Yeah, this game's beautiful, and it's like the best free game ever made. I can't believe people aren't talking about it more. It's dumb. Oh, I'm gonna put this pillow behind me. Yeah, that's better. There, much better. Okay, so now oh, this cord. So good. We have this game running. Now, I feel like the sounds are a bit loud. Yeah, like where they're not so aggro. Like I want the master up, but I don't really want the sounds so aggro, you know? Yeah, like that sounds okay, but I don't really want it like aggro like that, yeah. Oh, look, it's like suddenly playing way better today. Maybe they did something to patch it or something. I don't know, but it's playing well. Oh, look, my neighborhood has sprung up. Cool, that dude's base is open and stuff. I'm news territory, level 21. Damn, he got up quick. Jeez. These people are moving faster than me, but I mean, like, I don't care about that. Oh, I didn't make ammo, and that's a problem. I actually have to go make ammo. They want. I need copper ingots, I guess, which I think I can make. I don't know. Is there a auto run in this? Oops. Is it T? Yeah, T's auto run. Maybe I should make E auto run. I don't know. What's E? What does E do? Oh, well. So I need to make ammo for oh, I can't make air ammo for the. I guess I do. I have to make copper pistol ammo. No, it's rifle bullets, and it will take copper ingots and gunpowder. But I thought I had gunpowder. No. So you want me to make copper ingots, like a lot of them? Okay. While that happens, I'll go out one. Or well, no, this gun's worthless to me without ammo, so I'll just wait. It's 4 minutes, however, so I'll go out and I'll farm. Yep, and gotta get to Sandoria. I'm gonna run the music and stuff. Actually, I don't want a party. I will not seek. It's all okay. Howdy, neighbor. Look, the game's running beautifully. Even with the other clients open. It is playing well. All I had to do was reformat. My Windows took a shit. Hello. And he's out. I think the torch is actually a really good weapon. I want to keep upgrading it. I can't take this bush. No. What's that sound? Oh, it's a giant box thing. I want to fight it. Or no, I don't know what that is. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna take it off the big screen now. I forgot. Oh wait, I went back out again. Oops. Uh-oh. Season goal. Nice. Nice, I got a grenade and copper SR ammo, rifle ammo and stuff. Nice. Sweet. Now I could use this rifle. Ooh, Stardust, Cortex, Acid, Industrial Tape Arrow, Energy Link. Gotta go back and get those copper things and make my own assault rifle and SMG. This game looks good. I'm gonna turn the foliage up. Maybe I do want V-Sync, huh? The hell was that sound? cool. I made my first AK. Okay, I'm gonna dual wield AKs because it's dumb to do anything else. And we will calibrate one of them. Well, I'm gonna calibrate this torch. 12. Oh yeah, I can afford that, huh? Yeah, I want to calibrate my torch. Yep. Cool. I'm gonna scrap this crossbow. Well, I don't know. Maybe the crossbow is good to keep around, just like, you know, as armor. Sorry, as like if I run out of ammo, maybe. I want to calibrate this torch more. I'll just put them in a box. Is what I'll do. Yeah, just keep going. No, I'm out of copper ingots. Okay. So copper's a thing, but I don't have to worry about it right now. Now I need to worry about bullets. I'm going to need copper, or so yeah, copper rifle bullet, which will take a lot of ingots and a lot of gunpowder. I don't have any gunpowder for some reason. Now maybe we worry about... I want to search for gunpowder. Nope. Okay. Craft any ammo in the supplies workbench. Yeah. I don't have any gunpowder, I guess. Spoiled food. Guess I don't have any gunpowder. Oh, there. There it is. I'm sorry. So... more charcoal and I can make more. Oh, good. Okay, I see. So... that'll be a minute, so now I need charcoal. Okay. Charcoal, craft. Oh, and also copper. Yeah, make me copper, a lot of it. Yep. And then we'll go out and chop trees and look for copper nodes along the... I saw a lot of copper this direction. That guy's got a bot farming for him now. Gravel and sulfur. Sulfur's good. This isn't enough. I'll have to go make bullets. Fuck! Okay, I'm gonna ding here. This is gonna be awesome. Hells yeah! Ding ding ding! Ding 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 ding! Ding ding ding! Ding! Ding ding ding! Ding! Ding ding ding! 10,000 gil. Wait. Okay, so... Wait, I got 2 pages. No, they changed it. They changed how this works. Okay, well... Yeah, no, that's 10,000. Okay. And there's my ding. Yeah. Quick activator. Okay. Let's make 9 of those, sure. And I came here to loot out the bench. I love this fucking game. This is the best game I played in a long time. Damn it, I have to make the tool. Oops. No, 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 I don't want to do that. No. Okay, now I want to make copper rifle bullets. Copper, what is SR? Oh, sniper rifle. SR, sniper, okay. Rifle bullets. Copper rifle bullets. As many as we can get. Yep. Oh, I need more ingots now. Okay. Well, do I have ingots? I don't, but I will in 90 seconds. I don't really have copper ore, so we'll have to go do a farming run. Well, all the games are running, and I'm back up again. Look how good, look how well EvE is running. See, there's my solid 120, 180, really. Nice. Windows gets bogged down. It's stupid. Okay, so she no longer has to sub white mage. I would not mind a primetime party on black mage. The closer I am to Kraken Club, or sorry, Octa Club, the more fun I'll have. Cause yeah, like oh yeah, did I use the other one too? I did. Yes. Yeah, so how far did I get in? Nice. A 61. Wait, was that it? That's all I got, huh? 60 to 61. I was wow. That I thought that that would be more, but I guess cool. Or it was like a whole level, I think, actually. Gonna go to Mora in the meantime. Oh, I didn't get the signet. Damn it. Oh, I also need to turn in my ring. Oh, I get a dedication too, I guess. Oh, okay. I am trying to go and trade him my Empress Band, which I'm not sure is actually in my possession or not. I don't think it... Oh, it is. It is. So then I need to trade it. There's my Empress Band. Cool. And now we're... Oh, and I need Signet. Yes, I will. Oh my god, this is only going to get better. I'm so glad I came to Horizon. This is such a better ending to my Final Fantasy career. I'm so happy I'm here. Well, I've got a mail, Governor Lee. I gotta mail my corp leader because we're doing a Friday Hell Forum. Oh no, I moved the wrong thing. Oops. I'm just gonna pull his name. I've got him in my mail somewhere. This guy's asking about my contracts. And I need to kind of get them for him. It's annoying. So this guy wants to know about my contracts. I'm going to link him.
You've been examined.
There, that guy, I told him about my contracts. Governorly. What happened here? Is there 2 spaces or something? No. That should have popped me. Oh my god. This is me, right? Yes, it is. I will have to get copper. I will begin to hunt for only copper. But that's okay. Hot copper and trees. I need copper. Oh, god damn it. I keep forgetting over and over again that my shit broke and I have to make a new goddamn pickaxe. So fucking annoying. Let's go. I want to make a copper pickaxe, but I don't know if I can. Oh yeah, and then there's armor crafting too. Insufficient materials. Craft. Oh, cool. Go here. Craft. Don't have the hide. Craft. Test subject top. Ray BP top. I don't have it, I don't think. I don't have modular pack 1 or hide, but that's okay. Try and make these, but I don't think I have it. I don't have it. Modular packs. Don't have it. Don't have it. This one I did have. Cool, it's a new Raid Mass BP. Cool, so I got two new pieces of armor, and they're only head armor, but yeah, equip now. And then gear, hat. Cool. Oh, what happened to the other gun that I got? So there's a third one, but I can't repair this one. But you can modify it. Oh yeah, you can. You can put a mod on it. Weapon amplifier. Oh, weapon damage, huh? Oh, it's got one? Oh, cool. Weapon amplifier. Cool. 280 and 201. $280, $216. Oh, that its eye level went up way, like a lot more, huh? Okay, so this is the best game I've played in a long time. It's awesome. That's good. So now I want to make more ammo. Copper rifle bullets, a lot of them. Times 1320? Oh, times 13. Okay, I don't know. I don't know. But anyways, that was a lot. So now I should have a lot of ammo. I don't see a lot of ammo. Why don't I see a lot of ammo? Oh, because it has to make. Yeah. And it will take 35 more seconds to do all 1300 rounds. Nice. I want to disassemble this other crappy
I'm sure you'll need that weapon soon enough. Wait, I just noticed a teleportation tower was activated at Deadsville. Did Mary do that? We can use it to teleport straight there. Open your map and try it out. Activating teleportation towers will let us get to places much faster and avoid any dangers along the way.
Cool, I could just teleport there. Teleport there. Cool. I guess he sells stuff. I don't have anything though. Could always do activators. Weekly limit is 5, so let's just buy the 5 weekly limit. That's fine. Chrysalis token. Cool, they're dumping tons of items on me. Look. Look at all that crap. I love this fucking game. Kraken Call Cam. It's a weapon skin. Compensation for server issues. Cool. Seasonal loot crate. What's in it? Just this token and seasonal loot crates. 5 of them. Damn. I got Celebrate, which is an emote, I think. Cosmetic tokens. Molotov cocktail. Hairstyle alley melody. Grenade.
Good. You made it. I'm guessing that gun served you well. Yeah, this was the quickest way to bring you here. These towers are even supposed to let you travel between worlds, but I haven't been able to figure out how. Maybe you'll have more luck. Either way, I'm glad it got you here. Deadsville is the perfect place to dig up info on the area. That merchant over by the old truck looks like she gets around. Maybe she knows something useful.
It's weird because usually I can zoom in further than that. Cool, you can like change worlds. Where is the teleportation tower though? Oh, there it is. This is awesome. There's like these level 20 dudes here. I really want to make pants because I don't like her weird lab pants. They're fugly. Hello. Oh.
Come take a look. Anything that catches your eye, I'm always open for business. Wait, I've never seen you before, but you're a mayfly, ain't you? Oh, thank goodness. I could really use some help. My name's Claire. Claire Lay. Normally I'm a wandering merchant, but now I'm stuck here. I sent a team over to a place called the Rotten Manor 3 days ago to collect some goods for me. But they never came back.
It's possible that they ran off with the goods.
Don't be so cynical. I've been through thick and thin with them. They wouldn't do that to me. I'm afraid that something must have happened to them. Rumor is the Rotten Manor's seen a surge of deviants recently. I suspect there's a deviation behind it.
I want to find this wind elemental that's over here. Somebody killed it, I guess. Somebody's hunting elementals. I forget where this one spawns, but it's like not that easy to get. Because people come through here all the time.
All I know is what I heard from that well-dressed gentleman over there. He should be able to tell you more.
There's
Yo,
no
anyone got,
question.
like,
That guy
corn or
stands
something?
out.
You got corn?
We'd better talk to him and see what he
Yo,
knows.
Scooter, you got
Good luck. Oh, and I'll happily pay a reward if you can recover my stuff for me. I'll mark Rotten Manor on your map. Make sure to stock up on ammo before you go, all right?
Yo, you got corn, dog? You look dope. What? Oh, thanks, dog.
I looked, I don't, sorry.
Oh, that's okay, man.
And know the place for the first time. Through the unknown, unremembered gate. Ah, a mayfly. And one who seems to be brimming with potential. A pleasure to make your acquaintance.
Do you know about a deviation affecting this area?
You've come to the right man. I am Samuel Lowe, a humble scholar specializing in the fascinating phenomena we call deviations. And as for you, you seek keys with which to unlock the Dark Tower, don't you? But I'd be wary
Seeing
of what
any
else you
elementals.
might open up.
Do you always speak in riddles like this?
I was merely setting the mood. The world still deserves something poetic, don't you think?
It's
Now,
not
you're
poetic.
interested in the deviation inside that monolith, aren't you? But the tower is locked up tight, and its keys are rift anchors across the wetlands.
Rift anchors. Those things are made by Rosetta, aren't they? Activating them should give us access to the rift space inside the monolith.
Spot on. And now tell me, where do you think those anchors would be?
Usually places with the heaviest stardust pollution. The Rotten
You've
Manor
been
would
examined.
definitely be one of them.
Indeed. I'm looking forward to seeing what you can do, Mayfly. I'm sure it will be a remarkable story to share. By the way, I wouldn't mind adding another deviation to my collection.
Now that we know what to do, let's split up to cover more ground. I'll find a way to hack into the monolith. Once you've activated the rift anchors, come meet me at the monolith gate. Just don't forget to bring plenty of ammo. That place must be packed with deviants. Oh, and one more thing. I have a motorcycle here you can use. That should help speed things along.
Motorcycle.
Oh yeah, this looks like it'll be fun to ride.
Oh, so they all build here. What's that? I love my dual AKs.
The stardust concentration here is off the charts. We should set up a campsite before rushing into the rotten matter. That way we can recover more quickly if anything goes wrong.
Damn it. Insufficient materials. Oh, logs. I need logs. Oh my god. Well, since I'm here, I should probably think about my points. Grenades are fine, yeah. Oh, she can move faster now. Oh. I want to ride home and see if I can teleport back here and just do some of the motorcycle RP. I like that. Did I not get the tool? get DC for some reason. What's that sound? What's my user ID? Oh, there it is. Oh, good, I got it. So that's cool. That's the first thing. Now I'm going to enable Twitch drops. Cool. Link, switch account. There we go. Now I want to come to Twitch and I want you to claim now. Claim now. Cool. I'm going to get once human drops and all that. I'm now linked. Cool. Yeah, I'm playing a game that actually has drops. Yeah, I got Autumn Splendor Shoes, which is like a weapon charm thumb up. Okay. Oxycontin. I just want to go and like join a fucking team. Serenade's lobby, good. Okay, cool. Nope, failed to review. Okay. Huh? Just looking for an open team. I didn't know. Whatever. Wow, this game's a lot like better than I thought even. It's good to see good games come on the market, you know? Did I get anything for that? I don't think I did. Oh, I'm going the wrong way. I'm going home. Oops. Cool, there was like a flame there for a second, I think. Oh no, yeah it is. It's like a flame coming out of the tailpipe. That's cool. Whoa, don't go in the water. Damn it. Come on, man. Ah. Why am I reloading? Damn it. Come back here, fucker. Maybe now I can make better leg armor. Okay, let's go learn other things I should know about.
A lot slower. The second one isn't filled up, and you're going to be losing a lot of stamina regeneration. So just be aware of that. The next thing I really wish I knew sooner is that the red
I'm not going back to
crates, the mystical
I'm not going
crates,
back
as
to
they're
Rust
called,
after this. Like, I'm not saying this is a better game. I'm saying that Rust won't play on display adapter. It drives me crazy. This game will, you know. Speaking of which, I just need to verify that. Just got to make sure that it's actually doing it. Yeah, it's doing it.
in this game give you blueprints. And so sometimes you're going to be in one of these areas like this. You'll get a settlement like this one right here, and you're going to get your list of objectives up in the top left corner. It says look for a mystical crate, activate a rift anchor, defeat normal enemies, and then find 2 weapon and armor crates. Now the bottom 3 are always really easy to do, but sometimes that top one is a bit tricky. It's really hard to find those mystical crates. They can be tucked away in some building that's really large in some, you know, obscure corner of it, and it can be pretty difficult to find, and you might be tempted to just move on without finding that mystical crate. But that mystical crate is almost always going to have blueprints, and the blueprints in this game are huge. This is what's going to allow you to craft all of the weapons and armor in this game, and that's one of the most major forms of progression you have. So you do not want to forgo those mystical crates. Stick around and try to find it. My biggest piece of advice is that usually if there's a really big building on that property, it's probably in it or on top of it. So that's my biggest advice for the mystical crates. That's not always the case, but that's very often the case, and it seems like they often like to plant it on the alternate side of the settlement as the rift anchor. So if you're near the rift anchor, maybe try going to a different part of this area and look for the mystical crate there. The next thing is that there's going to be these primors located all over the map. These are huge for finding Starcrom, one of the most important resources in the game. Starcrom is what you're going to use to gamble for blueprints. These are the best blueprints in the game, and probably the most efficient way to obtain them is going to be using your Starcrom at a wish machine and gambling for the blueprints that you want. So there's very limited sources of
New
this
World
very
is going to get its
material,
butt kicked
and
by
this
this
is
game.
one of them, these primors. So you're going to want to do these, first of all, so don't ignore them, but also be prepared for a battle. They are pretty difficult, and you're going to need and you're going to need explosives because the enemy there is covered in a thick armor, and if you don't have explosives, you're not going to be able to take that armor down. So go prepared with a calibrated explosive weapon like a rocket launcher or claymores or something like that to break the armor off of that enemy. Next, let's talk about surviving in this game, because there's something that a lot of people are going to overlook for a lot of their playthrough. When they realize it, oh man, it's going to make their life so much better. And one of those things is sanity gummies right here. Sanity gummies are fantastic because this will remove your sanity that you're losing. That sanity debuff right there, you can see on my health bar, I'm losing about 10%, maybe 15% of my health bar there to my sanity debuff. So the easiest way to manage that is to craft gummies, and these are real easy to make. It just takes a little bit of sugar, some boiled water, and some log. And as you can see here, sugar just needs some beets and some logs. So you're going to want to make some sanity gummies when you get the chance, and when you see a source of beets, make sure to take advantage of that and get it, okay? Now, fortunately, sanity gummies are only one way. An even easier way to manage your sanity is your grilled mushroom. So mushrooms are something that are very easy to get if you grab one of the passives in your cradle. If we go into our cradle, then we go into the memetics menu, and then up here in the top left, we've got our memetic specializations. These are real easy to miss. A lot of people probably have some unlocked and they haven't realized it. So you're gonna come in here, and at some point you'll get the option to choose compost bin if you want, and this is a great option. If you take it, any spoiled food in your bag, which is going to happen all the time, food is just not gonna get used in time, this is gonna convert that spoiled food into mushrooms. Mushrooms are exactly what you use to make grilled mushrooms, and grilled mushrooms are going to give you energy, so it's going to clear your meter, and it's going to cure 200 sanity, and you're just constantly getting them for free as you walk around with some excess food in your bag. And so this is going to be a perfect way of handling your sanity when you're out and about. I highly recommend it. And if you're enjoying the video, be sure to like and subscribe for more Once Human content. It helps more than anything. Now, the next thing to be aware of is how to heal yourself. Pretty much unlimited, right? So if we scroll down at our supplies page, you'll find a recipe for activators. Activators are going to restore 50% of your health. This is huge, and you can craft these unlimited. These ingredients are very easy to come by. You'll have plenty of them, and so it won't ever be a problem that you find yourself unable to have 10 or 20 heals on you at all times, which is going to be really helpful in exploring and dealing with monoliths, especially. If you're going into a monolith to take down a boss, you're going to want this. This is going to be essential. Similarly, one of the things you're going to want to make sure you take with you anytime you're going somewhere difficult is an adrenaline shot. An adrenaline shot is going to allow you to resurrect yourself if you take fatal damage. You're going to get a screen that pops up after you die saying, do you want to abandon this attempt or do you want to use an adrenaline shot? Now, these would be nearly unlimited use, just like the activator, if not for the fact that it uses stardust, which is a fairly rare resource. This one, you get plenty of it, but it's a lot harder to come by than, you know, something like this. We have 1,144 rubber, right? The stardust resource, we can get it by going to abstraction sites and securement silos, but we are going to find ourselves running out of that for sure, because we're also using this to calibrate weapons. So you're going to want to save adrenaline shots for only when you need it, like if you're in a boss fight in a monolith, or if you're really far from a respawn point. But most of the time, what you should be doing is laying down a campsite anytime you get decently far away from your base. Just pop down a campsite. These are really cheap. All you have to do to make a campsite is hit any ore a few times. That's going to give you gravel, and then hit a tree a few times. That's going to give you wood, and now you can make a campsite. You'll probably have enough materials to make multiple campsites, and you'll just slam it down. It'll say, hey, just letting you know, it's going to remove your last campsite if you put a new one here, and that's fine. And now this will act as a respawn point if you die. It also allows you to teleport back to your base from wherever you are, so you never have to run back to your base. If you're next to a campsite, you can always teleport back to your base. Now, the next thing to know is that there's one weapon in the game that is super clutch, and that is going to be the crossbow. The reason for this is you can shoot the crossbow very accurately into the heads of enemies, and it's usually going to be a one-shot, especially if you've kept up with the higher tier of the crossbow, and you've also been calibrating it when able. And the nice thing about the crossbow is you can retrieve the arrow from the enemy after you kill them. So as long as you hit the enemy, you can pick up that arrow after you kill them. You run by their body, spam F, and you'll see that you've picked up 1 or 2 arrows, however many it took to kill the enemy. You get them all back, which removes the issue of having to make sure you have ammo for your weapon as you're running around doing the easier content in the game. Now, there's nothing like a good firearm, right? And ammo isn't that hard to make, so don't be afraid to use a gun and use ammo, right? This copper ammo down here is just fine. It works really well, and you're just gonna have to farm a bit of copper ingot and some gunpowder. So don't be afraid of using your ammo. It's real easy to make, and you get a lot of it every time you craft some. You get 40 pistol ammo, or if we make an SMG ammo, we get 120 every pop. So real easy. Just make sure you're always picking up copper so that you have plenty of ammo. But until you've got a good supply of those materials, those crossbow arrows are super efficient. Another thing to know is that you can zoom your camera out from the default setting. Your default setting has the camera pretty close to your character, but if you come into the game's controls, you see right here camera distance, and by default this is pretty close, and you can get just enough extra distance to see your feet and to have a complete view of your character and have a little bit less of your screen obscured by your character when you're running around playing the game. And if you're like me, you're gonna love that. Now, the next thing to be aware of is if you hate the look of your character, let's say you get in game and you regret some decisions you made. Maybe you forgot to max a certain slider out. Maybe you made a slider too big and it's just looking uncomfortable. Now you can come in here and you can go to the furniture section of your building menu. So you press B in your base, you right click, you bring up the furniture menu, then go to furnishing items sub menu, and then click on floor mirror. And now you put this down and boom, you have a mirror where you can reshape your character. You can come in here and completely remake them to make them look exactly how you want. The next tip is that you're going to be given a free bike in Deadsville. So that's really early in the game. You're going to be doing your quests, first town in the game, and if you get sidetracked exploring and you don't finish the main story quests in this area, right? You find that by pressing L and you follow the Stardust quests here. They'll be in this section right here, or the yellow marker on the map. As long as you're following that, you'll get your bike in pretty short order. So don't craft your first bike. Let the game give it to you for free, and then you'll be able to summon it anywhere you want without having to spend the materials to make it yourself in the early game, which can, you know, take a little bit of time. If you do craft it yourself, it's not too big a deal. It's not too many materials that it takes. Now, the next thing to be aware of is as you're driving around, you're going to see cars on the side of the road, and that's where you're going to get fuel for your bike or your car if you've created a car, right? You're going to be able to get fuel for those just by checking the trunks of vehicles on the side of the road. Now, the thing to know about this is you might feel like you're never finding fuel in those trunks, because the way this works is anytime you're on a main road, like a really major road like this, it looks like a main road. This little dirt road right here, that looks like a side road. This looks like a side road. So the smaller the road, the more likely the cars on it are to have fuel in the trunk. If you're on a main road, it's going to be really unlikely that you find a car with fuel in the trunk. I guess, you know, from an RP standpoint, it's because these have already been searched and there's nothing left. The next big piece of advice I wish I knew before I started playing the game is about this resonant filter right here. The Stardust resonant filter. Now, this is a really important object because you're going to be able to purify your Stardust. So you're going to put this in here and you'll be like, yeah, purify it. But it's really easy to miss the fact that right here, it's telling you all these enemies that are going to spawn and attack your base the second that you decide to do this. So you're going to have to defend your base for 5 minutes from all of these enemies. So if you end up getting some tier 1 Eclipse Cortex, right, it's not too big a deal. The enemies that spawn are not too terribly difficult. You'll most likely be able to take them down. If you get tier 2 though, things start getting pretty difficult. They start having a lot of HP, and if you don't have great weapons yet and highly calibrated weapons yet, it could be something that ends up destroying your base. So what I would recommend is before you use this machine, take the time to upgrade your base to stone, because when they attacked my base, it was still wood the first time I did that, and they destroyed about half of my base and half of my storage containers. So make sure you upgrade to stone before you do that, and make sure that you are loaded with lots of ammo, because there's going to be a lot of enemies spawning, and make sure you got a good weapon that does a lot of damage ready to go. Another quick tip is that if you press N, it turns on your flashlight. This is going to be essential in a lot of areas in this game. It's easy to overlook, but hey, it's right there, nice and easy to use. And also make sure, another quick tip is to make sure that you are taking advantage of the deviations in this game. You're going to be finding them all over the place, and if you look at them in your base, so if we create these containers here, we look inside, we can sync to cradle if we want to put it in our cradle and then have it with us. Alternatively, we can withdraw that one right there. We can use this facility, and it tells us when we hover over these what type of deviation they are. It's like Power World if you played that. Some are really good at combat. Some are really good at territory buffing. This one is going to provide power to our generators. Others are going to be great for crafting. They're going to give us materials for crafting, or they're going to be harvesting materials around the base. Like I've got this guy here grabbing ores of all sorts. So I click claim, and then over here I see I got some iron ore, some tin, some sulfur, and some copper ore. All of those from that guy right there. This one right here is collecting wood. So between the two of those, I'm just constantly passively getting 2 resources I always need. You're always going to need loads of wood for charcoal. Whenever you're in your base, go ahead and make 99 charcoal. I promise you, you're never going to regret it, because everything that you make is going to use charcoal for a very, very long time. Whether you're purifying water, or whether you're making iron bars or iron ingots or steel ingots, right? You're just going to be constantly using that charcoal. So have a nice supply on hand. You won't regret it. If you got nothing else going on in there, burn some charcoal. Definitely keep an eye out for deviations that you can put in your base to passively gather materials for you while you're out exploring and doing all the other fun things in the game. Alright guys, that concludes my first I Wish I Knew Sooner video for Once Human. If you have any things that you learned that you thought were really interesting, share them in the comments down below. Sometimes the best tips come from the comments. So hey, share what you got, and if I see one that I love that I haven't already talked about, I'll go ahead and toss it in my next video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate it. Massive shout out to my YouTube channel members. If you want to become a channel member, click the join button down below for special access to a private Discord channel, behind the scenes footage, and so much more. If you're not sure what to do next, check out my complete beginner guide for Once Human, popping up on screen right now. I promise you, you're gonna love that video. Until next time, guys.
Control. What a looker. But recording footage can be a pain. I'd know. Especially in competitive multiplayer games like Control, or Control, where you're worrying if things are actually...
Sure, why not? Thank you, White Light, for the excellent content from a stream. I'd like to sub to your channel.
Library of Alexandria to find the right clip, somewhere in which will be the right moment. Today's sponsor is Outplayed, which does all that for you. If it's interesting, it records it automatically, and you decide what's interesting. So your time saved, and your storage space, and your frustration. Edit the clip right there in the app, send it to your friends with a few clicks of your mouse. Outplayed's free. Links in the description. Fair warning, this one's gonna be weirder than usual. 5 years have passed, and Control has changed. It's twice as big, yet now a small part of gaming's best connected universe, and it has become the cult classic that it was always gonna be. Control was always going to draw me back, to see what's new, and to give it a fairer, truer, and closer look. Control is about a woman who believes in magic, searching for a building that no one can see, where she hopes to find an organization that doesn't exist, because her imaginary friend told her to. But Jessie is not crazy. She watched the Federal Bureau of Control take her brother when they were young and they saw something they weren't supposed to see. A crack in the solid grey of ordinary life. She was saved by her friend, Polaris, her formless guiding star, and now Jessie wants to find her brother, but deep down she just wants a way in, to the freedom and wonder of the world of magic. Control begins with our foot in the door of the oldest house. We're finally here. What will we find? Do you like what you hear? An escape from the mundane, an entrance to a life of magic. It's one of our oldest fantasies, runs wide and deep. It's one we've all indulged, and it has come at just the right time. The 21st century, the new world of concrete and glass, where we are estranged from magic. We are scientists, skeptics, and materialists. We are distant from nature, and though we might be fascinated by black holes for being the one thing in the universe that seems to break all the rules, or radiation for its capacity to make monsters and behave like a curse, magic does not feel as though it could be a part of this world. So most takes on Control's fantasy leave this world behind, finding themselves somewhere older, but not Control. Control doesn't believe in escape. Inside its Hogwarts, the things that characterize modern life only intensify, and the wondrous is given a home in our world, the world that drove it out. Control bridges the widening gap between reality and magic. It makes magic feel real, plausible, close. For that, it is one of the strongest and freshest takes on this old fantasy, and among those with the most to say. It is only minutes before Jessie finds what she came for. There's an elevator that wasn't there at first. The janitor overhears her thoughts.
Artie the janitor is a friendly face in my book.
Better somebody with no face at all.
She stands now over the dead body of the last director of Control, while the board, a pyramid who speaks in static, convened in the astral plane, votes her the new one. And in a way that only half surprises her, Jessie feels a profound sense of relief.
You know what? I'm happy. Happy to be here.
The simplest thing that makes Control's magic feel real is that Control is really realistic, as you can see. In fact, it's more realistic now than ever, because 5 years on, some of us can actually run the ray tracing. This was early RT, 20 series tech, and you can tell. The noise problem isn't exactly subtle in the blackest parts of the house, but the growing pains seem like specks in the face of the fact that few games have ever benefited from real-time ray tracing as much as Control, in part because of its environments that are simple and mostly reflective, and in part because of its unique interest in feeling real. So the floors light up, small details are given dimension by shadows, and flashing lights are spice to the spectacle of combat. We gain drama, the red of the hiss piercing deeper, a stronger contrast between light and dark, or a vast gaping shadow to emphasize the immensity of a thing. And every window becomes a mirror. The reflections don't overwhelm the scene. It is the difference between being alone in the hotline chamber and being surrounded by your ghostly echo, and the matter meets the standard set by the light. Concrete, wood, glass, skin. Sometimes there's a certain waxiness about the faces, but these are materials with the kind of definition that by looking at them, you know how they'd feel to touch. There is a pronounced physicality to the house, a clarity of sense, and I've seen it in other games, but there's nothing quite like Control, because in the house, it's not just skin deep, the realism of destruction. This world was made to crumble, in intricate detail, even things you'd never expect. A vast concrete table can be completely dismantled rock by rock. Punish the walls enough and a chunk may fall loose, itself asking to be used as a bludgeon for a pillar or a desk or something seductively delicate. Dust makes clouds, rains from shaken ceilings and repaints the floors. Lights flicker, blinds bounce. Control convinces you it's real. Well, mostly. Apparently, the Bureau makes their fax machines from adamantium, and also certain kinds of desk, and the bathroom sinks, and the trash cans, which never does feel right when they're standing next to something that can be broken, that should be harder to break, which they basically always are. Things don't land right either. Launch a fridge, and it hits like a fridge. Let a fridge fall, and it lands like it weighs 5 pounds. Those problems considered, I'd say the destruction is brought down to about a 9.8. Tragic. The world becomes the central means by which Control realizes its power fantasy. Do anything, pretty much anywhere, and the world will make it significant. Miss, and it still feels good. 'Cause man, at least you fucked up that guy's office. In dividing the world into an endless array of physics objects, Jesse's powers can have second-order effects. Given the 5 years they've had to fix it, it's a shame that there is still, at times, an awful
Control
delay
looks
on
fun.
events' destruction effects. But the cool part is that when you evade, things break. And not just the things you evaded through, also the things you evaded near, suggesting the presence of a pressure wave. Levitate, and anything light or loose below is pushed aside, portraying a powerful downward force.
I love good
Launch and
games.
debris is drawn into a gravity well. Grounding launch in a physical reality. It's cool and real. And it's cool because it's real. You don't feel like you're drawing on an authored force of convenience whose name is magic. You feel as if you're pulling on the strings of physics, the forces we know and feel in our real lives. And it is in this way Control convinces us of magic. It sells you on the force, and the notion that if telekinesis really existed, this is what it would be like. Yeah, you should probably play this game. In Control, magic is surrounded by everything magic isn't, to highlight and heighten both extremes, to make it known what about the modern world makes it hostile to magic, on the other hand, to display what magic means in a modern context. It's contrast. That is Control's central creative strategy. But being real isn't the only thing that characterizes modern life. The FBC, after all, is a place of science. Its biggest sector is the research sector, where magic is proven, repeatedly, made legitimate by modern conceptions of legitimacy. You see, it was always real. They were hiding the truth from you. Much of Control's lore draws from real-world conceptions of magic, and real attempts of science to explain magical phenomena. Resonance, entanglement, synchronicity, Jungian notions of the collective unconscious. It's the oldest trick in the book to make a fictional world feel plausible. Just so happens that the oldest house has more to gain from that trick than most. The FBC is also a bureau. A bureaucracy, an institution based on routine, protocol, and hierarchy, a manifestation of man-made power, and it is power that paints the walls. Overwhelming greys and whites, plaques, portraits, and the black pyramid that looms down, always from above. Brutalism, vast masses of concrete that define Control's architecture, that create an impression of weight and immovability. It is hard to be intimidated when you're playing as Jesse Faden, and yet, apparently not impossible. It is the opposite of magic, of what magic will twist it into, bending its supposedly immovable walls into spirals and circles, moving the most solid thing like water, a contrast that is both impressive and somewhat disturbing. It's useful to Control that the Bureau don't use tech made any later than the 60s, because back then, tech wasn't elegant. It was large and cold and heavy. A smartphone might as well be magic, but a terminal? That's a machine. In its quainter spaces, the FBC is an office, a dream of white-collar workspace, somewhere familiar to many a 21st century Joe. What is the opposite of that? The daydream, the mystical realm of the perpetually bored, something that exists outside the rules, unintimidated by the notion of a boss. And here they are, chaos, red, represented as a fluid. Co-workers hang, possessed, chanting an endless, meaningless incantation. They got what they dreamed for magic to invade and lift them from routine. Sometimes it's you who makes the image complete. The graceful floating that characterizes Levitate makes Jessie the counterpoint to her surroundings. Join the possessed, relieve the weight of order. The Bureau forms a violent contrast with the forces it seeks to control, even when that force is you. A battle illustrated in every frame of play, as clear from a glance as from the story itself. Control's art is like art, man. Meaningful in many of the ways art in a gallery is meaningful, as it describes a deep human truth and provokes us to think. Perhaps about the fragility of our systems of power. Maybe about our estrangement at the hands of modern life from the spirit, from magic. In the oldest house, every magical thing must take on a bureaucratic identity. Incomprehensibility is represented with sensor keys and the sound of a bad signal. Runes become signs. Rituals become protocols. Magical wisdom is written on post-it notes and bulletin boards. Gods and kings given corporate titles, director and board. Or the tenets of corporate graphic design echoed in Control's minimalism. This extends to the spaces themselves. Dead letters, an office, but only in the foreground, only in name and purpose. Beneath that, it's a church, with arches, an altar, and desks like pews, a symmetry maintained throughout. This is a mailroom, but really, it's a cathedral. Computers, or monoliths. The hallways are less subtle. They look like the gateways to an ancient tomb. Whether grand or granular, you're drawn to consider the truth of these comparisons, that some of the old ways might still be with us, and it is in this way Control once again makes magic feel close to modern life. Perhaps most obviously, though, is that it makes Control look good. Bureaucracy is boring, but it's not boring when it's actually a Warhammer citadel. In the house, boring is the skin, not the flesh. Control is never boring. It carefully composes its imagery, keeping visual noise at a minimum, balancing colors and light and dark, succeeding by every measure of the science of beauty, and ultimately arriving at a unique visual style. A proprietary blend of modernist magic, minimalist aesthetics with retro tech, along with a general affection for brutalism and surrealism. The only thing that feels like Control is Control. It is beautiful in a way that is original, and that's useful. To draw the eye, to keep it there, to motivate exploration, to make every corner turned an intrinsic reward. But my praise for the art isn't over just yet, because there is another contrast. Control is also the kind of art that only games can be. The contrast of order and chaos is one we, as Jesse Faden, participate in. Environments are neat, symmetrical, and squeaky clean, designed in absolute opposition to what you'll make of them as an inevitability of play, be that combat or mucking about with a destruction sandbox, which will become an activity as natural as walking, because the destruction sandbox is really that good. In that sense, you play as entropy. You make a glorious mess, and in doing so, you enact
I'm gonna buy
kind of
Control. I
revenge
had
on
no
this
idea it
place.
was this good.
Jesse, as a willing ambassador for magic, rebels against these would-be oppressors like tagging a bank with graffiti or skateboarding down a subway rail. By doing it, we connect with it, and we indulge in perhaps the most widely relatable aspect of the fantasy of making magic real. To use superpowers to blow up your workplace, or maybe your school,
$9.
or whatever this place means to you. But chaos isn't just the aesthetic result of combat, it's the mechanical foundation too. Remedy toyed with cover mechanics for a short period of early development before making the wise choice not to repeat Quantum Break's mistakes. Instead, Jessie's defense would be her movement. Move or die. She controls responsively, another vast improvement over Tim Breaker's Temporal Tales, and one that would usually come at the cost of animation fidelity. But Jessie makes any such compromise seriously difficult to notice. Remedy's animation work does an exceptional job of capturing the physicality of gameplay. She stumbles from falls, flinches, and throws her body forward as part.
Cool. Cool, I got Control. He sold me on it. It looks good. For $9, can't go wrong. Looks like an amazing game.
Exchange of forces at play in combat are made as visible on Jessie's body as they are on the puppeted corpses of the Hiss. It's reactivity, the most important element of making a third-person shooter feel good. Remedy have always known that. In fact, it was them who pioneered it. And now Max Payne's stepdaughter is here to prove it again. Whether it's a bullet or a fax machine, the Hiss will make it feel significant. Health has an important role to play too. You lose it really quickly, but you also gain it back quickly by shooting drops of energy out of the Hiss. To heal then, you must be near the enemy. It's this, combined with the fact that the service weapon much prefers close range, that heavily encourages Jessie to stay amidst the chaos and to be relentlessly aggressive once there. If there's a problem with all this chaos, it's the distortion effect that emanates from the Hiss. It's too big, it takes too long to fade, it's too obtrusive. The problem isn't that it affects your performance, because launch has an aimbot so you can just shoot through it. The problem is that reactivity is the best thing about Control, but you can't see that reactivity if and when your screen is smeared in Vaseline. It's a problem. To be fair though, it is one problem. Control is one of the best feeling third-person shooters ever made, so that's good. And in embodying chaos, both visually and mechanically, combat becomes another performance of contrast against the order of the Bureau. Fuck, even the structure of Control works that way. Rebellion isn't inherent to the open world genre, but when your open world is a looming manifestation of order and hierarchy, freeform exploration can become a counterpoint. In a way, Control delivers the childhood fantasy of sneaking through your school at night, being somewhere you shouldn't be. I think that does this game a lot of favors. Control is one of the most artistically effective third-person shooters ever made. You really should play this game. I'm no longer
Yeah, I bought
asking.
it. I bought it for $9.
It's no secret that the foremost inspiration for The Oldest House was The House of Leaves, one of the founding novels of the new weird genre that centers a house that cheats. By our rules at least, calls are too long, impossibly long. Doors lead to the wrong place, even the pages play the game, and so does The Oldest House. In concept, in the lore, but in practice, what's remarkable about The Oldest House is how unlike The House of Leaves it really is. The Oldest House is normal, consistent, not that weird. It can't be. It's not allowed to be, because it's thoroughly explorable, and being built on a Metroidvania structure, some optional paths demand that you come back later, with a higher clearance card or a different ability, so players are going to return to old locations at some point, when they feel like it. And when they do, the way back still needs to be the way back. It's for this reason we never actually get to experience a house shift. To get back, you won't be using a GPS, nor quest markers, because Control doesn't have them. You're expected to navigate the house with diegetic information alone. You have a map, and your directions are those laid out in the world. More than any other, it's this part of Control that causes the most friction with a normie-pilled casual. People have a tendency to get lost in this game, and that was inevitable, because most games don't work this way, and friction is the price of doing anything outside the norm. If you like art, it's a price worth paying, but only to the degree you actually had to. The problem is, the information Control provides often isn't enough. There is a gap that must be filled with perception, a spatial awareness, a developing mental map. In the long term, a mindset, and in absence of an appropriate tutorial to instill that mindset, an early encounter that could only be solved with environmental cues, the way people learn their lesson is all too often a painful period of getting woefully lost. Having reckoned with that hurdle, the end result of Remedy's risk is twofold. Firstly, immersion. As we traverse the unknown, our experience aligns with Jesse's. You behave as if you were really there, fully inhabiting the newcomer, drawn forward by clues and what catches the eye. The other is realism, because that's realistic. Ultimately, you will form a heightened spatial awareness of the oldest house, an impression of solidity and truth to the space, which is also realistic, and in a particularly useful way, because in most video games, transdimensional fuckery, impossible spaces, and knowing implicitly that there's not really anything outside those walls is par for the course, taken for granted, not in Control. Which is why, when something wrong does happen, it lands with the significance it's supposed to have. Teleportation means something when you have a mental map to be disrupted. It can be disappointing that the oldest house is not the fluid world it's made out to be, but it is precisely its solidity that makes a jump cut powerful. The basic loop for gameplay and Control is progressing towards the next control point, whilst clearing rooms of hiss and exploring the environment. There is a lot to explore in the rooms themselves, but there are also different ways to go, which is where you'll find most of the game's side content. Nowhere is Control's beauty more useful to it than here. It's worth having a look, just for the looking part. Control points are Remedy's take on bonfires, where what's taken is not so much the gameplay significance as the convenience of them. They balance fast travel, provide an in-universe context for respawning, and neatly tie the upgrade systems together. They're smart, they work, but they come with a classic downside of mandating boss runs, which is a big problem when you die in an encounter that lives on its spontaneity. You come back a second time, you watch it follow the exact same script, and that makes it look like it's following a script. Sometimes it's matter of fact, not impression. Fridge duty. Philip can't look away or the fridge gets violent. But we don't get him out in time.
Or the fridge
we
gets
try to cleanse
violent.
it, following a spot of vengeance. And we are summoned to a blackened plane, ruled by a being like the board, the former. Die to the former, and Philip comes back. But the light of Christ is swiftly retracted, as we then listen to the fridge turn Philip into hummus again, and wait for the former to arrive, again. See you later, refrigerator. Piece of shit. Patches have moved boss spawns closer to the boss since the last video, but that doesn't solve the awkward reunions. Sorry about that, former. Just had to make a quick run now. Where were we? Oh yes, throwing boxes at each other. Control often struggles to translate the weird into game mechanics. The Anchor, Mold 1, and the former are good boss fights, in every way apart from how you fight them. They have one attack, or two, but no mechanics that would serve to complicate your response, which will be throwing a torrent of rocks at them until they fall over. They're simple and predictable. They're not that fun, nor fitting with a character of something alien. I excuse Essage from this generalization because being a reflection of Jessie, her mechanics live up to her concept. And I also excuse Mr. Tomasi for being unpredictably shit. He is a normal enemy with a big health bar and an army of other normal enemies who make this fight the hardest fight in the game. Tomasi is so very far beneath Remedy. But when it comes to difficulty, the problem is more often being too easy. Bosses don't scale very well, but the Anchor in Mold 1 hit you with a comeback later roadblock when they're first accessible, so you tend to do them fairly late, which can lead to a sub 60-second curb stomp. Control's boss fights are deeply troubling, but their problems aren't limited to the boss fights. In the pit, a deep threshold of the house lost to a spreading mold, a humid maze of what is otherwise solid Control content, we are tasked with finding 5 research samples. What? Is that it? Find 5 turds?
Gross. I wonder who's gonna owe me for this.
For Artie, we have janitorial tasks, such as going to a place and shooting 5 putrid mold scrotums, or going to a place and shooting 5 putrid mold people, or shooting the same piece of shit we've already shot in the campaign, or talking to 5 plants.
I hope those nasty hiss haven't been bothering you too much.
I forgive that one because it's funny. In both cases, the context fits. It's janitorial work, it's scientific inquiry, the bread and butter of the FBC. The problem is not that they undermine so much as they underwhelm. But there are things beyond that defense. Enter the furnace. Doesn't it seem like it's looking at you? There's an account nearby of a woman who heard it speak to her, pleased to be fed that she couldn't resist. So, we feed it. Find all the barrels, throw all the barrels. Not very interesting, but hey, it's build up, right? For the cool thing that will happen at the end? Ah, 2 skill points. Cool. The furnace is exceptional. Shit. And also in the sense that Control's altered items usually represent the best of its side content. Altered items, otherwise known as SCPs, that is, of all Control's inspirations, the most loved and known. Secure, Contain, Protect is an online collective of fiction centering supernatural entities that are categorized and discussed from the perspective of a clandestine military organization, SCP, created to do as their name instructs. Sound familiar? It was a smart inspiration. What the SCP universe offers is a lens of plausibility. The entities, as do Control's altered items, largely take the form of everyday things. A ship, a stairwell, a furnace. Each mundane on the surface, but hiding an unknowable and often horrific connection to the other side. Some of these altered items compose the foundation of Control's world. The secret to transdimensional travel is an American motel. The hotline to the dead and the distant is a bakelite telephone. Jessie gets her powers from binding to altered items, and she walks within one too, the oldest house itself. It is through their apparent mundanity that SCP, like the FBC, allows you to indulge the notion, firstly, that magical and monstrous things might exist all around you, even in your modern life. And secondly, that the only reason you never find out is because there's a grand conspiracy to hide it from you. The FBC is filled with such accounts, be it physical evidence taken from the scene or documents written almost exactly like authentic SCP entries. Those that were captured now serve their time in the Panopticon, a supernatural prison that is for us not unlike a zoo, and some of them are causing trouble that is for us to solve. The traffic light, red, yellow, green. You can guess how it works. The challenge is controlling your impatience and choosing cover that will fully shield you from the red light. The nature of the thing is the encounter. It's unique, and for that, it is fitting and appropriately whelming. The mirror. Mirror on the wall. How do I open this fucking wall? The mirror will tell you. You read its SCP entry, from this you learn its nature, and that provides the clues you need to solve the puzzle. Fantastic. The astral spike, an extraplanar predator that hunts thoughts and consciousness, a frenzied ball of mass and flickering light that slowly rages towards you, and it can't be stopped. It's bordering on scary. Your only hope is to lure it into a prison, one of the smartest encounters in the game. The mannequin is different. It stares from across the twisted hall. You approach, and then they're everywhere, and you won't know what to do, but you'll notice something, that whenever you can't see them, they turn to look. It's a chilling realization, and the only thing to do is to stumble onto the one true mannequin before you shit yourself. It is an example of how the absence of formal mechanics can be a better move than poor mechanics. The rubber duck is similar. There's a chase, but there's no game to it. It is literally taking the piss out of you. The challenge is tolerating its mocking quacks. Control side content is troubled. It has source, it has stunning visuals and cool ideas, but it reeks of Control's greatest foe, the tight budget. Sometimes that could still lead to effective gameplay. Other times, it means 3 bosses that play the same and 3 quests that have you shooting spots. I think the greatest success of the altered items is tonal. It is this notion that anything could be supernatural that lays a sense of suspicion or curiosity upon everything in the Bureau. Nothing can be immediately dismissed as normal or mundane. This is a useful aspect of Control's atmosphere, and Control is a good SCP game, which makes a strong contribution to its fantasy of plausible magic. But there is an important difference. SCP is a horror universe. Control's is not. It's also not the opposite, whimsical and wonderful like Hogwarts. Indeed, Control isn't interested in prescribing any particular emotional tone to the supernatural. Instead, it wants to let the supernatural speak for itself. Perhaps the best way to explain what that means is to show you how Remedy try not to speak for their creations. No introductory cutscene imposes a fearful perspective on Mold 1 or the Anchor. There's no intimidating title, the description atop the health bar is written in plain lowercase font. There's no dramatic soundtrack in the background. In fact, there's rarely any dramatic soundtrack in Control. Music does not speak for the action or for the weird. There are unsettling elements about the former and Mold 1, but they are not inherently monstrous beings, and Control offers no condemnation of its enemies. You aren't meant to hate them, not even the hiss. It's not evil, it's a virus, and its nature is to propagate. It is Control's belief that different things are just that. Different. Indeed, the defining characteristic of its alien minds is difficulty to communicate, and the absence of a prescribed tone allows nuance to more easily come through. Conventional boss music makes it harder to consider the possibility that a boss might not be deserving of their fate. There are exceptions, the standard hiss combatants. It's harder to say you aren't imposing a perspective on the hiss when an incomprehensible viral sound for some reason turns everyone into a different kind of stereotypical Goosebumps monster. Zombies, ghouls, witches. It is probably no coincidence that these exceptions are the least interesting elements of Control's art. To the degree to which the rule stands, though, it is, I think, the great success of Control's approach to the weird. Its emotional palette can take on strange, small, conflicting, and unexpected flavors, and that's pretty useful to a game about confronting truly different things. It makes them feel real, plausible, in a way a game that locked its gods and aliens into the man-made emotional restraints of a more distinct genre never could. It gives Control emotional breadth. It can feel like anything and it will always fit, making for a world that it is harder to get bored of. And it's a damn good thing for a mystery game too, because you can't really know what the next thing is going to feel like. With Mulder's soul and Scully's form, Control is a game defined by mystery. When we walk through those doors, we're here to find Jesse's brother, Dylan, but that's not what's really driving us forward. Dylan is a faceless abstract, a notion, and he remains that way until we find him. His absence causes Jesse pain, but none that Control is interested in connecting us to. What's more interesting is the question of why they took him. What weren't he and Jesse supposed to see when they were children in Ordinary? What did they do to him? All we have are questions, and at first, questions are all we find. The director dead by his own hand. Why? What's the deal with Artie, or the board? How'd the hiss get in? What does a sound want? And what about Jesse's imaginary friend? Control throws you into the deep end of the unexpected, and it's got you hooked. But all of that happens in hour 1. After that, the main story, the one driven by cutscene and character, takes a back seat, and the main method of narrative delivery shifts to the environment. Story via exploration, like Dark Souls. Yeah, I said it. That's analysis, but it's also a fact. Remedy wanted a new approach for storytelling, one that would work for a non-linear game, that would allow a player to enter a space in any sequence at an unknown time and nevertheless receive a narrative. Hence, the item descriptions, and all the ways information can be received without an event presently occurring, or an actual character needing to be there. Some things are instantly digestible, the primary visual fixture of a space. There are enemies, workplace bulletins, post-it notes, computer screens. There are documents that demand a committed read. And thanks to a modern setting, there is video and audio, technologies that allow NPCs to leave behind their ghosts. In fact, the conspicuous absence of the star of the show is another of Control's big mysteries. Where is Dr. Darling? There is a balance of levity through things like Darling and the inherent comedy of interrogating a rubber duck.
Clap if you can understand my words. No response.
With darker tones, the accounts of those who never returned. There is a balance of reading, listening, watching, and viewing firsthand, of highbrow conceptual stuff with interpersonal drama. and this varied breadth proves useful to work against the sheer amount of lore from wearing out. Some elements of lore are self-contained, an audio log that tells a complete story, but most elements of lore are not. They are pieces, snippets, perspectives, with a lot of space intentionally left blank, in the literal form of a redacted bar, or by simple means of omission. So we gain information, and with it, we gain new questions. Another balance, a careful balance of getting more and wanting more. A drip feed of information in which you almost see the impression of a conventional reward loop, where small nuggets of satisfaction are distributed at an irregular but frequent pace. Learning can be quite addicting in Control. Remedy prove highly effective at giving you enough to make you want to know what they didn't give you. A document tells a story, with an important character whose name is hidden. Someone disappears. I wonder where to. You walk into a testing chamber filled with sands blown in from someplace else, from a looming wall where a door was once open. Control's consistent aesthetic brilliance makes for some very strong hooks. Mechanically, this works smoothly. Experientially, this FromSoftian design model evokes the feeling of always being somewhat lost, of being surrounded by the unknown. Like the SCPs, Control's storytelling becoming an important component of its atmosphere. Another of Remedy's important successes is how effectively they concentrate questions and information, keeping things interesting by layering one idea inside another, communicating with subtext and subtler implications. Take a document. It says stuff. Some parts are redacted, a literal blank space, an implicit question of what's behind it, but also of who put it there. Let's say you know what blank term is because it fits in length and concept and there's only one thing it could be. The board. Who would want their involvement covered up? There's an answer to that. There's the way the board speaks, struggling to talk in the terms a human would comprehend, so it provides alternate translations, which have alternate implications. Favorite/current director? Does that mean it only chooses directors it likes better than the last one? Or does it call every director its favorite director? Ugh, I bet you say that to all the girls. The ocean view is its own question, but look closer. The poster's changing each time you visit, like they're trying to tell you something. The strange symbols on the doors. 3 pulls of a cord to get there, 3 pulls back. Why? Why 3? What is this place? And why is it framed? There's the way Darling looks off to the side at times and stumbles through certain lectures with an unexplained anxiety. There's Threshold Kids, a TV show made for Jesse's brother to educate him on paranatural concepts. And in Threshold Kids is a second statement, that the Bureau was disturbed enough to think this fucking voodoo conjuring ass nightmare was child-friendly. Taken individually, the realization of all the different kinds of lore and Control is exceptional. If you can look past the lifelong trauma, Threshold Kids is a pretty good puppet show, and perhaps there is a special convenience in Control being as realistic as it is, that live action doesn't feel out of place. So, on a limited budget, Remedy could plonk a camera in front of Matthew Peretta and perfectly capture a full 30 minutes of the game's best performance. Darling's got a sizzling charisma. There's a sitcom kind of humor in his awkward interactions with his less awkward co-workers, and each lecture is kept brief. Remedy meet the challenge of making boring arse science lectures neither boring nor arse so effectively that it doesn't even occur to you that the challenge would have needed to be met. It also benefits from being interactive, in the sense that the projector is a physics object, so you can just take Darling with you. It's a shame the same can't be said for audio logs or radio interviews, which cannot be transported or otherwise listened to on the move. With reading, you control the pace. With video, there's visual engagement. But in demanding that you sit here twiddling your thumbs for the audio logs, Control creates a high likelihood that people are just going to keep on moving. I did. Enough to feel guilty about it, and when I didn't, I always had to resist the temptation to. The weakest link among Control's information formations is the hotline. Allow me to properly introduce you. Sometimes you will come across Trench's ghost, slipping through the cracks of death, speaking in broken prose to guide you forward. Perhaps it should not be surprising that a projected image so effectively evokes the sense of a consciousness projected from a distant place. This is the first of many times Remedy use a shift in art form to portray a shift in dimension, and it's beautiful. Mirroring Control's art style, I would often find myself aligning Jesse to perfect the image. The connection is weak, a bad signal, and some things are lost to noise, unless you turn to the hotline, the bakelite telephone connected to all of time and space. Google Translate for Lovecraft and friends. The problems begin with how you use it. Menu, collectibles, hotline. What the fuck? It's unintuitive for one, and it literally removes you from the experience. It's even got a fucking video player UI. There is no sense that you're interacting with an object of power, let alone that you're still rooted in the world of Control. Nothing makes you appreciate watching a lecture with Jesse inhabiting the world quite like watching a YouTube video from a menu. When a call becomes available, there's a small notification tucked down to the side of the screen, and there is no ring, which makes it surprisingly easy to miss. That is, most of Trench's characterization, and most of Jesse's communications with the board. The hotline is a comprehensive fuck-up, a shame, an anomaly. Both in the sense that the delivery of Control's lore is otherwise a comprehensive success, and in the sense that the problems with Control's lore usually have nothing to do with the lore itself. Its biggest problem is that it is burdened with making up for Control's story. So let's talk about Control's story. What does that aforementioned backseat mean? It means an overwhelmingly materialistic story, driven by plot, not by character. One where most of what you do is not because of who you are, but because there is a physical problem that needs to be solved. The door's jammed, fix it, bitch. It's one where the characters are not affected by what happens in any terms other than physical terms. You were in danger, now you were safe. It's one where those characters have very little going on beneath the surface, and also on the surface. One-note personalities and nothing human beneath it. The Bureau presents a profoundly boring cast. Pope is a researcher. Her turn-ons include research. She's excitable, a proto-darling, and sort of charming that way. Marshall is a soldier lady. According to her co-workers, she's really tough. As far as you'll see, she stands around looking tough. Underhill is a bit rude, Langston is a bit weird, and then there's this guy. I'll give you $1 million if you played Control and you recall this man's name. 3, 2, 1, exactly. The answer was Arish. He is a man who is nice. During in-game conversations, there is no motion capture. Body language is stilted, while facial animations range from passable to some kind of proto-stroke that looks like they're at a dentist exam. It can be profoundly uncanny to watch characters who look that good animate that poorly. But sure as shit doesn't help with the matter of being able to connect or even wanting to engage with Control's humans. Of all the ways to get information in Control, talking to people was the one I avoided the most. This leads me to the controversial matter of Jessie Faden. I liked Jessie Faden, but liking her was the easy part. She is warm, kind, and sometimes funny.
I hope your day has been productive, little plant. That really works, huh?
And Courtney Hope plays her without the assured silky sharpness of the average video game heroine, but instead with a youthfulness and, crucially, a surprising normalness that proves remarkably effective at making a woman who has lived anything but a normal life feel relatable and real.
My turn. Should I lie?
Jessie Faden. I'm just visiting.
I should have lied.
Someone to identify with and ground
God
ourselves in.
damn it.
It is also that unpracticed normalness, the faint quiver and distinct youth in her voice.
She led me to you. I call her Polaris.
That connects us to the truth, as the natural cool of the average protagonist does not, that her strength and perseverance are not effortless or to be taken for granted. We are told that beneath the determined hero we play is a troubled child, but it would be easy to forget if Courtney Hope did not keep that part of her present. It makes Jessie much easier to connect to. It helps that Jessie is the living embodiment of the fantasy Control sells the player. We both want the same thing. A sincere passion for all things magical is Jessie's defining trait. It is what motivates her, and it is what makes her strong. Jessie is cool, not because she is skilled or tough or fearless, but because her passion drives her past her fear, because she is willing to reach out to the unknown and connect to it. And I love that about her. I loved playing someone who was cool in that way. And I love that this distinct characterization allowed Jessie to be such a thematically resonant counterpoint to all that surrounds her.
Being pretty good with altered items isn't standard Bureau procedure.
He doesn't know us very well.
Because the game Control delivers on the fantasy Jessie embodies so well, everything you do is therefore a fulfillment of Jessie's character. To rush towards a demon clock that might be deadly, to throw a bench through an office or search for secrets in its scattered files. For the experience of the player to align with that of the character is a crucial component of immersion, and it helps keep what Jessie thematically represents present in your mind. 5 years ago, I and too many others criticized how fast Jessie warms to the magic of the house. I retract that, because it is blatant misreading. The actual belief problem is the speed with which she accepts violence, shooting people with her magic block. There was no indication Jessie used to do side jokes with the cartel. This has become one of her signature problems. you might have noticed that I'm speaking almost entirely about foundational elements of Jessie's character. It's true, I like Jessie, I like being her, and I was interested in how she'd react to the things and people in the house. But to succeed as a character in the main story, you need more than a solid foundation.
Did I lose you there for a moment?
Control won't give her one. It doesn't seem obvious. It's that Jessie achieves her central goal by beat the scene the moment the game starts. Proof and wonder. In part, it's that it's exceptionally difficult to do great characters with a plot that is unwilling to test them. Her stats are tested, her ability to fix doors, but not a character. It's hard to overstate how serious a lacking this is. The story doesn't do anything with the characters inside it. There are other good characters in Control, but what connects them is their inability to address what Control lacks. Emotional engagement. Astral Pain, the Phantom Director, Dr. Creatine, and Artie, the god/fish/janitor, succeed as mysteries and as presences, not as human beings. We want to know more about them because they are so compellingly strange. It's not often you'll encounter a Finnish janitor who reads minds on the side, nor a hard-boiled detective type who lives for all the gods, but their sole purpose is to be interesting and to tell us interesting things. Darling and Trench left the building before the game began. In spirits now, they are merely fated to guide you on. Between threats, you are brought back to mystery. Control's story establishes Control's central mysteries, but it doesn't show much interest in advancing them. This isn't an escalating series of revelations and deepening mysteries. You start in the dark, and for the most part, you stay there. This can be frustrating, particularly in combination with the character side, because what it amounts to is the sense that the story is going nowhere. It also comes with problems for the lore, ones that Remedy suffer from that FromSoft have not. In Dark Souls, the larger mysteries of the world bear almost no relevance to anything current or important for you. You're there to kill the 4 big guys and link the fire. Everything else is tangential. And a useful upside of that approach is that conscious engagement with the lore can only be motivated by pure curiosity. There is no sense that it is necessary. Things are different in Control, where the larger mysteries of the world are directly relevant to Jessie, what she's doing and why she's doing it. There is the sense that having answers is important, and therefore the sense that engaging with the lore is something I should do. I am still curious, but it is joined by a pressure, and that's why, in moments when my curiosity was running low, I would force myself to read, to listen, as if it were homework, because I figured, where else is Control's narrative substance going to come from? This sense of mine was too often proven correct. An excellent example is the ordinary AWE. There, we walk into Jessie's past through a recreational town, where every single thing, every name, object, every detail that we didn't already know is hidden away in ordinaries and records and lectures. From what's part of the main story or instantly digestible, we learn that Ordinary is a town. Was it worth the wall staring? Fuck yeah it was, but I wish I didn't have to make that calculation. The sense of should whittles slowly at the joy of exploration and Control, particularly with time, because it's with time that the reality of the central narrative stagnation settles in. It's with time that the actual number of lore things to interact with increases. It's with time that the parts of the oldest house you're exploring become more relevant to the central narrative. And so it's with time that the sense of should intensifies. For these reasons, in the research sector in the early game, this problem is minimal, but in containment, in the late game, it's quite significant, even enough to have a serious impact on the pacing. If you want to get anything from or a fine candidate program, Control can take on an incredibly staggered character, split between short periods of forward motion and long periods of perusing the interactive wiki. In these parts of the game, Control's storytelling kinda sucks. There is a further element, the element of trust. This is crucial to any story driven by mystery. It is impossible to physically point to, and yet, if you've ever played a game like this before, then you know its significance. People are conscious of how far it's reasonable to think, and if they don't think it's likely the developers thought that far, then they're probably not going to think that far either. People know they probably won't get things right, but they need to believe there's a chance they could. It's this that makes the game real. People engage with lore as much as they trust it, and trust is difficult to establish. In 2019, I didn't trust Control. I didn't trust it because of its central narrative.
I didn't trust Control
because I figured
either.
if you can't write a compelling character, if it's too much to ask for the plot to have momentum, then what's the chance you can realize a complex web of backstories or an unseen chess game of higher forces? I feared that much of this world was weirdness and nonsense disguised as mystery. I told 600,000 people as much. I was wrong, because I now have the answers I once thought did not exist, and of those I don't, I trust that they're out there. Why? paying attention, YouTubers, the fact that more answers now exist because Remedy have made
Ooh, look
more
at all
things,
that
and most
Formula
of all,
billboard.
an incredibly generous
I got a
helping
billboard
of faith
4,
to tide
cool.
me over until my trust was earned. For the part of what I said that was born of ignorance, I'm sorry. But even now, I recognize in Control what made me distrustful. Control's story sucks, which sucks for Control's story, but to an unfortunate degree, it sucks for all the other stories in Control too. It casts a shadow of doubt
love
and a
this
harmful
game.
pressure to do things the central narrative won't. I love this fucking world. I loved exploring it. 5 years later more than ever, but I understand why some people lost the magic. That used to be me. Control 2 has some problems to solve. So, Control is one of the best feeling third-person shooters ever, but what will sustain that experience over a long period of time is its mechanical strength. Jesse, we have to cook. And we're off to a good start, because there are a number of interesting things to be done with launch. Every launch expends a limited pool of energy, so it is in your interest to line up launches that will hit more than one enemy. 2 birds, 1 forklift. That places a strong incentive on smart positioning. A second kind of 2-for-1 is rooted in the way objects float towards you when you select them. Those objects can hit enemies in their path. You can position yourself to put enemies in their path, and that's free damage. There is a remarkable degree to which the perceptive player can find opportunities to be clever in this way. The list goes on. Near objects hit much quicker than far objects. Everything is physics-based, so things in the way of your chosen object will slow it down. And objects themselves have their own properties. Big things hit harder than small things. Explosives hit the hardest, but they're also the rarest. So it becomes useful to think about what you're launching, either to optimize for damage or to conserve the most useful thing for the most important enemy. It's a good thing in this context that Control has you moving around so much. Since the depth of launch is tied to the environment and to positioning, being in a constant rush means being constantly cycled through new positions and new parts of the environment with a fresh stock of objects to launch. The pace of interesting choices available to you is in this way kept at a high. Control's level design is strong, most arenas providing new kinds of things to launch, which is good for the spectacle, and in some way for the story, as you engage with the narrative context of the space during combat. Most arenas feature a mix of open spaces and tighter spaces, keeping things varied and allowing players to optimize navigation according to the range of their weapon. Most arenas feature circular paths and enough cover to allow for constant movement. Most arenas feature some kind of vertical element to hugely raise the number of relevant sightlines, and from that, create more interesting fights. It's good shooter level design, and yet the cost to the believability of the space is minimal, in part because Remedy put a lot of work into making it minimal, but also because believability comes easier to a building that makes its own rules. As we move into advanced depth, we start talking about overpenetration with Pierce, which can pierce enemies with conventional 2-for-1s, but also the environment, even through otherwise unbreakable structures. Jesse can seize enemies in Control, which has a double use as a stun. You can partially seize and use its disabling effect to close the gap. Jesse can also launch objects immediately from their starting position, creating a point on the path it takes as it floats towards you, which means you don't have to shoot straight on from Jesse's point of view, which means the fastest and most perceptive players can line up 2-for-1s from behind or the side. There's meat in the bone here. The question is it enough? The answer is, it's not that simple. Launch is the best source of the game's depth. Launch is also the best source of the game's shallowness.
Get off me!
What does that mean?
Get off me, get off me!
Launch can be deep. When you're not using it deeply, either because it's not worthwhile or because there's no opportunity, then launch is pretty shallow. You press the button, Jesse will choose an object, you vaguely point at your target, Jesse will aim it for you. Launch lacks the most skill-intensive part of using a gun, and you are going to be using launch a hell of a lot. Why? Well, why don't I hit you with an example? This is what happens if you melee someone in Control. Launch with a knockback. And this is what happens if you launch at someone in Control. That's more damage and more knockback. That's better than melee in melee range. Huh. Okay, maybe there's a guy far away.
I'm gonna
so you switch
clip
to
that.
Grip, the handgun, or Pierce, the sniper form for the service weapon. Now, you're gonna need to charge Pierce, and you're gonna need to aim
Fucking
it.
awesome.
Very sensitive reticle, and no aim assist by default.
very
Grip doesn't need to
tiny
charge, but it does lose accuracy fast.
thing.
Launch, on the other hand, has an aimbot. It's a better sniper than the sniper at sniper range. A different scenario. You're in danger, there's a shield in Control, but you won't often use it. It's slow, it kills you visibility, and it means you can't attack, which means you can't heal. Launch, meanwhile, removes the threat quickly and gives you health. There are almost no situations where it isn't the smartest way to get out of danger. One more example. There's a guy. It's a normal encounter. You're going to be running around a lot in a normal encounter, and that makes the service weapon much harder to handle with encountering slippery aim. Especially in comparison to Launch, which has a fucking aimbot, and is also likely to be much There are not many situations where launch isn't the best gun in the game. If you can use launch, and you usually can, it's always best. In those cases, that means less depth, because the correct decision is always the same, and less variety, because large parts of the insect like dust, either seen less often or not at all. Seize suffers the same fate, but through a less direct mechanism. Launch doesn't do anything that Seize can, but the speed of combat, particularly
game is
when
so
launch
good
is
and it's
juiced,
free.
means that Seize is
It's
incredibly
totally
inefficient
free.
means of fighting, doubly so without upgrades. And the
You
problem
can probably
there
not
is that
spend
you're
money
probably
on it,
not
but
going to upgrade Seize
it's
because
very
you're
cheap.
probably
It's like
going to be
10
spending
bucks
your
like
relatively
Fortnite.
precious slots and points on not.
This game is gonna come on strong like Fortnite. This I think this company knew that they had a premise that could sell like Fortnite. And I think it probably will sell like Fortnite. It's insane. Da-da-da-da-da-da. What's this? Oh, cool. I can just put the bike down. I don't even have to worry about where I leave it. That's so cool. I love this game. Maybe I can get credit on this dude. Oh, is it too late? Nope. Down he goes. Second too late as usual. Sorry. Oh wait, no, that's like a zombie house. That's a real what? Like no. Oh wow. Whoa. Whoa. I love this game. It's got such a sense of exploration to it. Maybe I can use his benches. Can I use these? No. Damn it. Oh well, that's okay. Fuck, the game looks good. It plays well. It's such a massive game and it plays so well. With 3 clients open, it's an actually truly optimized game. Like truly. Oh, my camera got bumped. I'm sorry. Here we go. Oh, did I lose my camera? No, I didn't lose my camera. There we go. So yeah, there we go. This game reminds me of Horizon mixed with like, I don't know, Enshrouded. There's a bit of Oh yeah, I'm gonna do drones first. So engage. Launch drones should be F. All drones engaged should be U. Return in orbit should be U. And I want you to return to be U. Yep. Then I want to come to Windows of the what is it? Hypernet relay. And I want the what's it called? Project Discovery. Maybe I'll listen to some EvE music. Man, this game looks good on medium. I want to bump the graphics now because the frames are like some of the best I've ever seen in the industry. Maybe I better bump, huh? I'm definitely not starting the client over, but... Yeah, that's it, huh? Yeah, that's it. That's everything I can do. It's good, though. It's good. It's a good, solid client. Confirm. Confirm, yep. There, see, now it looks better, but it's still got really solid frames. And the game's not really very fast either, so it's, you know, probably isn't PvP, but I don't know, maybe I set it a little too high, but fuck, it looks good. It looks so good in medium. I want to take like a Venture and a Miasmos out to Nullsec Needlejack. Because this game is so peaceful and slow, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what I do. I can always just park my character wherever the fuck I am, you know? And just play my games. It's the game I always wanted. Fuck, the frames are good. Frames are like really genuinely good. It's a little fast for me. I'm used to slower than this, but it's actually like perfect. It's actually perfect. I mean, with my DPI, it's fine.
More useful things, for which upgrades cost the same amount. Remedy's skill tree balance is baffling. 3 points on melee, or 3 on launch. I don't know, man. Maybe the one that's always in use, and is also better, and also has higher upgrade percentages? Yeah, that one. Seize is cool. It's fun to build an army, and on occasion, a seized ally is a genuinely useful distraction. When I used it for these reasons. And it's not as though you'll never use the service weapon either. Sometimes you'll use it because it's worthwhile, oftentimes because launch ran out of energy. But balance impacts character.
How did they make this game free? It's insane. Because they're not stupid, they know we'll pay them.
Takes on a feeling of weakness that undermines its mythical stature, and launch recharging won't take long, because it is limited by energy, but with time and investment into the progression system, those limits dramatically lessen. At best, aiming the service weapon when the service weapon is relevant, playing to the strength of its forms, intrinsic whims and advanced plays where possible, is as far as control substance goes. At worst, it's a game where you press the die button pointing vaguely in the enemy's direction. It's impossibly cool. but mechanically flat. So the hope would be that enemy and encounter design might get us out of this mess, and it does try, but it doesn't succeed. I want to start with the exception, mostly for the selfish purpose of soothing my guilt for a prior incident of being a dumbass. In the last video, I said two things: that shield was useless, and that there was no way to reliably avoid damage from Hiss Distorted, which I used to call creepers on account of the way they sneak up on you and explode. Guess what, guys? Shield is how you reliably avoid damage from Hiss Distorted. For fuck's sake. I mean, the shield's still useless outside of that, but I have come to appreciate the distorted encounters for the simple reason that they compel a different response from everything else. Mechanically, yes, but experientially too. This is the one enemy that doesn't fulfill Jesse's power fantasy. You were the hunted. The one enemy. That's the exception. The rule is a large amount of ideas that basically don't work. It's easy to imagine why Remedy might have made certain choices. There is a common perception. Third-person shooters are games where you shoot your gun. Getting players to move away from genre conventions can be extremely difficult, and so in Control, we see mechanics like enemy shields that specifically exist to encourage launch over the service weapon. Bullets scratch them, launch breaks through them. It works, it just doesn't understand its situation. In practice, enemy shields make you do something you were already going to do. They are mechanical dead weight. What about Hiss clusters? These are priests. They heal enemies in their presence. So, you're either going to want to burst down the cluster itself before it can teleport away, or to burst down some other enemy before it has time to heal. In either case, you want to deal damage as quickly as possible. Launch is how you do that. There's popping zip things, which slowly advance towards you until they're close enough to explode. To maximize their distance, you want to kill them as quickly as possible.
There it
which
is,
means
that's where it
launch.
should be.
And then there's fights with flying enemies, which are exclusively the least interesting fights in the game. Level design is completely removed from the equation, that's a basic feature of the premise, while viable options collapse to pierce and launch. But because you're fighting small, distant targets, the pressure is placed on aim, so launch wins the debate, because launch doesn't need to be aimed. Weak enemies, which are most flying enemies, die in one hit, so choosing what object to throw is made irrelevant. 2-for-1s are rarer because of the environment, while tougher enemies are only tougher because they can dodge, a mechanic that was, by Remedy's admission, specifically designed to discourage launch, that in reality does no such thing, because the best approach when someone dodges is to quickly spam out more launches so that they die before they can dodge again. Kill this guy first, kill this guy quickly. Demands for DPS simply reinforce launch's dominance. What happens as a result is that encounter design is flattened. It just doesn't matter that much what kind of enemies you're going up against, because your approach will mostly be the same. Later into the game, Jessie unlocks a new ability, Levitate. She can fly now. This has a number of real upsides, the foremost being that it's fucking dope, another being that with Levitate comes the ground pound, the new strongest attack in the game. The trade-off is that it consumes all your energy, which, if used poorly, places you in the middle of the heat with no defense. If you can kill a worthwhile target in one, it's genuinely useful. The challenge is in judging that. Unfortunately, Levitate has a downside. It erases level design. You're no longer beholden to the paths and tunnels of the arena. There's a guy up in the girders, you don't need to think about how to get there. Levitate means it's the same answer every time. That's not a big loss, but it is something. Here's a big loss. Levitate means that launch always has a usable sightline. There's a guy behind a large obstacle. Not any fucking more. One of the last things standing in launch's way were the literal things standing in its way. Stuff in the environment that a box may bounce off but a bullet may not, or that might encourage you to close the gap, making the shotgun more viable. Yeah, not anymore. With Levitate and later game upgrades that solidify launch's strength, control gets shallower with time, not deeper. So it's bad then. No, not really. To be honest, it even feels wrong to call Control's combat
I have
mediocre,
500 million
because
ISK.
mediocre summons images of dust-laden cover shooters a fucking Far Cry 6, something everyone has already seen before. Mediocre feels like an unfitting description of a combat system I recommend everyone try, just to engage in its basic motions. Dr. Darling was right. Jessie is dynamite, which is to say, spectacular, but not for long. How do we solve this problem? It's a difficult question because the simple answer, nerf launch, causes an even bigger problem. That launch is the coolest thing about Control and I want to be using it. The second game will have to be careful. Buffs to Jessie's other abilities, level design that is still interesting with Levitate, launch not being able to one-shot from full health. But what Control really needs is to wake up. It needs enemy design to understand the game it's in. It needs to rethink the thinking that led to launch upgrades costing the same amount as melee upgrades. It needs a new philosophy. Until it gets one, the problem with the Control we have, boiled down to a single word, is, I think, time. It can't keep it up. It's like a pensioner's erection, and the campaign, the story, they also erode like the combat does as the game plows on. But there is one big difference. With combat, there is a lot of design that is functionally inert. Mechanics encouraging a strategy that's already dominant. Enemies whose presence means almost nothing. Abilities you'll rarely use, if ever. But with a campaign, the problem is not ineffectual things, it's the absence of things. There's simply not enough there. Take the puzzles. A decent example is Darling's HRA lab. You've got to figure out the correct sequence of symbols based off slightly vague clues you can find on a series of whiteboards, and that's your lot. Most of the other puzzles are about launching power boxes into power box receptacles, which is cool because it's novel to use launch to solve problems that aren't trying to shoot you. But then it stops being novel, which is a problem because it also doesn't evolve. There's finding the box, which is always easy, and there's getting the box to the right place, which is also always easy. It's like an endlessly recurring level 1, and yet, even when you've done this dance several times before, Control will still believe it necessary to explain this simple premise, which speaks to a fear of anyone getting stuck so powerful that Remedy believed tutorialization with objective prompts in a game as otherwise immersive as Control was justified. According to one designer, a similar fear led to the flattening of puzzles in the Ocean View Motel, which account for the remainder of the campaign's quantity. You are presented with a thing, that thing is in a certain state. A similar thing exists in all 3 rooms of the motel. Your job is to match their states. They're weird, and I like that. But the formula never changes. And the problem isn't that they're easy. Indeed, it's entirely possible that hard puzzles would have screwed with the pace. The problem is that in never changing, they just stop being interesting. A microcosm in that way for much of Control's campaign. The core loop of progressing through the house, aggressing against the hiss, and undressing the law. No other synonym rhymed. Sorry. Goes unperturbed, with the spice you learn to expect from the side content remaining absent. There's no mushroom kingdom here. No boss fights, those are all optional. No surprise encounters, and not much in the way of wacky SCP stuff either. While the characterization and the game's central mysteries continue to not continue, you're increasingly directed by a plot that seems intent on erasing any sense of narrative momentum. Goal? Find Dylan. But first, make more HRA vests to protect the still living from being possessed by the hiss, despite the fact that everyone you know or care about already has one, so you're really doing this for people who are only implied to exist. Okay then, off to the HRA lab, but oh dear, wouldn't you know it, we're fresh out of HRA crafting materials. Guess that'll just be a not very quick trip down to a fucking quarry, where you can mine some more. In situations like these, it would be better to have no plot direction at all. It's better to feel like you're moving forward simply because it's the next place to go, than it is to feel like you're only here doing this because you've been contracted to do someone else's chores. Wouldn't it be better to learn that the Benikoff TV is wreaking havoc in the containment sector organically, and then put a stop to it, instead of walking into the front office and then being told to stop the TV? This part of the game does pick up a little. Dylan's in reach, no more obfuscations. But then, you find Dylan, who has painted Jesse's name on his cell in blood. Oh boy, it's silly, it's cliche, it doesn't fit Control in the slightest, it barely even makes sense. He rocks up back at base having been possessed by the hiss. He offers scattered insights into his cruel treatment at the hands of the Bureau, and little as to the nature of the hiss. Jesse is not unaffected by this, but for her, nothing really changes. That's the problem. Finding Dylan feels insignificant. We did it! Okay, now back to fixing doors. The stories pressed into the walls of the world. The more, despite its struggles, the intrinsic pleasure of simply seeing the next thing. This is what keeps Control's heart beating. But it could have done with some help. By the end of Act 2, the flame has begun to sputter. Then Act 3 starts. It's very short, and it acts as a shot of adrenaline. Act 3 is where it stops being possible to generalize anything in Control. We need to get to dimensional research, but we can't get through the maze standing in the way. So Artie calls, with telepathy of course, and after walking through a series of rooms for 5 minutes, which the server was not really engaging despite then be overlaid a PNG of some trees, our boy hooks us up with a zesty new bop. There is a saying amongst fans of Control, what's your favourite level, and why is it the ashtray maze? You're about to find out. This is